So, nobody actually knows what the world looks like in 100 years. Anyone who tells you they do is guessing. But here's the thing. Some of those guesses are coming from the most brilliant scientists alive right now. And some of what they're saying is so strange that it barely sounds real. So, let's go through it. Not the hopeful version, not the doom version, just the honest one. Let's start with something that might actually affect people alive today. Australian geneticist David Sinclair at Harvard believes the first human who will live to 150 years old has already been born. And Ray Kurzweil, who has been predicting the future of technology for 40 years and has been right about an uncomfortable number of things, he believes we are approaching something called longevity escape velocity, which basically means the point at which medical science is adding more years to your life per year than you are actually aging. He predicted this happens somewhere between 2029 and 2035. If that sounds like science fiction, consider that in 1900, the average human lifespan was 47 years. In 2025, it's over 73. We already did something that would have sounded impossible to someone 125 years ago. The question is whether we're about to do it again. Now let's talk about the thing that is genuinely keeping scientists up at night: artificial intelligence. In 2024, a survey of over 2,700 AI researchers was conducted. The question was simple: when do you think machines will be able to outperform humans at every single task? The median answer was 2047. That's 21 years from now. And that estimate was 13 years earlier than the same group of researchers predicted just 1 year before. Think about that. In 1 year, the people building AI moved their own timeline forward by 13 years. And here's the part that really should make you stop for a second. Between 37 and 51% of those same researchers, the actual scientists building this technology, believe there is at least a 10% chance that AI causes something as serious as human extinction. Not one or two fringe voices, between a third and a half of the entire field. Now, that doesn't mean it's likely. A 10% chance is not a certainty, but it's also not nothing. If someone told you there was a 10% chance the plane you were about to board would crash, you would not get on that plane. So what does the world actually look like in 100 years if things go well? And I mean actually well, not movie well. By most scientific consensus, renewable energy will almost certainly power the majority of the planet. Not because people suddenly became environmentally conscious, but because solar and wind will be cheaper than anything else. Energy economics will just make it happen. Cities will look radically different. Climate change, even in the best scenarios, is expected to make significant parts of coastal land uninhabitable by 2124. Entire populations will have moved inland. Some cities that exist today will not exist then, and some cities that don't exist today will be the biggest on Earth. Genetic engineering will have transformed medicine almost beyond recognition. CRISPR and its successors will have eliminated most hereditary diseases. Cancer, as we understand it today, will likely be a manageable chronic condition at worst and cured entirely at best. The idea of dying from something your DNA handed you at birth will probably seem as strange to people in 2124 as dying of a tooth infection seems to us now. And then there's the question that nobody has a clean answer to. What happens to human identity when the things that used to define being human stop being exclusively human? Right now, your intelligence, your creativity, your ability to feel and reason and make decisions, those are the things that separate you from every other species and every machine ever built. In 100 years, most of those things will be done faster, cheaper, and more accurately by systems that don't sleep, don't eat, and don't need anything from you. So, what are you for? That's the question nobody is answering. Not the scientists, not the philosophers, not the economists, because nobody actually knows. What we do know is that every single generation in human history has stood at a moment that felt like the edge of something. And most of them were right. It was the edge of something. Things changed, radically, permanently. The difference this time is the speed. The changes that used to take centuries are now happening in decades. The changes happening in years will soon happen in years. And the people alive today are going to watch more of that acceleration than any humans who have ever lived. Whether that turns out to be the greatest thing that ever happened to our species, or the last thing, depends almost entirely on decisions being made right now by a relatively small number of people, most of whom you have never heard of. That's the honest version.
The decision isn't yours, but knowing is.
Subscribe so you know what's coming.